Hi guys, thanks so much for watching The Social Life, the place to be for entrepreneurs with a purpose. Today I really wanted to talk to you guys all about what happens after you get your 501c3 eligible status. What that means is that you've actually filed for your 501c3 and now you're just waiting to hear back from the IRS as to whether you received your 501c3 status or not. So, with that being said, there's a lot of anticipation when you do that. I totally understand that piece. I've been there. There's a ton of anticipation and you may not know what to do at that point. Like, okay, I've filed, so now what? And basically, I have a few tips for you to get started so that you don't just sit and wait. This is a great time to start doing a number of things that really can set your organization up to be ready for those donations to come in, ready to really hit the ground running when your organization receives that status, because I know you're going to get that. So when you're ready to really move forward with your 501c3 eligibility or your 501c3 status, once you receive it, here are a few things that you can do in the meantime. The first one is do a happy dance. No, really, the first one is to just pat yourself on the back. You did this. You got through, getting the 501c3 status, whether you went through my course or you went through your own means. You used the book, you did some research, however you did it, you watched the video. If you watched the Start Your Nonprofit in 7 Steps video, that's a great place to start. If you did the course, I'm leaving a link to that as well. And if you got it done. And you should pat yourself on the back because that's actually a really huge accomplishment and I'm really proud of you. So that's number one, pat yourself on the back. I actually took a picture and sent it to all the people who were supporting the organization and supporting my mission and my vision. I actually took a photo of every time I got an approval. If I got an approval for my articles of incorporation, if I finished my bylaws, if I got a new board member, whatever I did, all of the things I did, I took pictures of and I just helped people come along the process with me. I know that it was putting myself out there, but it was also a way to just show that this is a journey and I'm taking the first steps on this journey. And so if you're here and you're at this point, you're watching this video and you've completed the 501c3 process, you can actually start posting about those things. You can start talking about the things that you've done to get to this point. And that's a great way to bring people along with you on the fact that you are just starting, you're a grassroots organization, you're really trying to move your purpose and your mission forward, and this is how you're doing it. The second tip is to create a presentation. Now, the reason for creating a presentation is twofold. One, it's so that it helps you process all of your information now that you're no longer thinking about what process do I need to do to get through the 501c3 process, but now you're thinking of how does this organization actually work? How am I setting this up? If I were to explain this to someone, would they understand? Would they want to support it? Would they want to be part of this? And the way that I did my presentation was I set it up or I created it so that I could share it with maybe 20 people that I knew that were part of my journey. They knew what I was doing. They were supporting me in other ways as far as being a cheerleader for me or saying I can do it. They were helping me find resources or saying, hey, I'll support you once you're up and running. There were a lot of ways that people were showing their support for what I was trying to do. And so how I wanted to thank them and basically show like, hey, this is where I am, is to create a presentation to say, I am actually 501c3 eligible now. I can take your funds. And once I receive that 501c3 status, you can then donate to me at that point, or I can get a promise note from you guys, or you can just tell me that you support me, or I can recruit for my board members even more heavily now. There are lots of things that you can do at that time when you're trying to create that presentation. You can start collecting emails for your newsletter. There are so many things to start doing that are now part of your true nonprofit business because you have already sent in your information. So start thinking of this as a business. And that is a huge key as well, is your mindset. Realizing that your mindset is going to be the driving force behind a lot of what you're doing from here on out, because this truly is a business. And so now you are an entrepreneur, even though you're a social entrepreneur, and you receive your funds through a different avenue than by making a profit off of something or creating revenue-based products. But you are an entrepreneur and you have to shift your mindset to that. So that was just a little side note, because I always like to, remind you guys that you are becoming entrepreneurs and that this is an important piece of what you're doing, is that mindset. One thing I don't want you to miss about this presentation piece is, even if you don't have a newsletter, when people come to your presentation and anyone that's interested in your nonprofit, be sure to get their email addresses, because when you are ready to start asking for donations, or you are ready to start looking for maybe an advisory board to your board of directors, or maybe you want to add to your board of directors, or maybe you're looking for volunteers, there are lots of reasons that you might want to reach back out to these people. And one of the best ways to do that is through email. So build up that email newsletter, build up that email list, and really start adding those emails to them. I don't care if it's family, I don't care if they're friends, I don't care who they are. Everyone can have a piece and part of your organization and part of this nonprofit journey. And many people want to, they just don't know how to stay in contact with you. So now I'm giving you the way that you can stay in contact with them. Because when you're ready to talk and you go back to say, oh, who actually was part of that? Who wanted to do the volunteering? Who wanted to do this? You'll know, because you'll have it all on your email list. You'll have them all on there, and you can even ask them if they're interested in certain aspects of your organization, and then that way you can tailor your emails towards those specific people. So that wasn't on my list originally, but that was just an extra tip for you. Number 3 is to own it as a business. Now, I did just talk about this with your mindset, but really you have to think of your business as a business, a bona fide, real business, which means that you need to have your budgets, you need to have an idea of how you're going to ask for your donors, your donations, how you're going to, what goals do you want to meet, all the things you need to start a business and to start thinking like a business, okay? So do not look at this as, oh, I'm just starting a nonprofit. It's just a nonprofit. Do not walk around saying that. This is not just a nonprofit. A nonprofit takes just as much, if not more energy as a for-profit business, because you have to do good record keeping. You have to keep things separate. You have to then share that information with your board of directors. You just have to make sure that you are looking at this as a business and not as a side thing that you're doing. This is actually a very important piece of running a nonprofit, is thinking of it as a business. Because if you don't think of it as a business, you're not going to be looking at revenue opportunities. You're not going to be looking at how you're going to get your donors to donate. There are a lot of things that come along with just trying to make a nonprofit sustainable and to make it work. And you have to always be thinking of it from that perspective in order to have the drive to keep going. Because donors are not just going to flock to your organization. You have to go out, you have to find them, you have to work hard to build that trust and let them know that they want to work with your organization. So this is an ongoing thing. It's not going to stop. But just like for-profit businesses go out and find customers, your job as a nonprofit founder is to go out and find donors and to find a way to connect with what they already believe in, what they're already passionate about, and how it can be beneficial to work with your organization. So those things are really important to remember. You have to think of this as a business. Just because you're not for profit does not mean that you don't have to work as hard to get the donors, to raise the funds, to do the things that you need to do to keep your nonprofit afloat. Number 4 is make connections. I am making segues like crazy here. So make connections. It's really important for you to start getting your nonprofit out there and start talking to people about what you're doing, getting your business cards out. You don't have to go out and buy business cards tomorrow. You don't need to do that. But if you don't have business cards, the best thing that you can do is to gather those emails. Get the email list. Start that growing. Take people's email if you don't have some other way to actually bring them on board with your organization. Personally, I think it's always better to just take someone's email or to take their phone number down so that you can always go back and contact them. To rely on your donors to come back to you when they're ready to hand over money is ridiculous. Don't think that way. Change your thought process to you have to work hard to make your donors interested in your program, and they want to buy from you, right? They want to support what you're doing. Remember that your donors meet you first, right? And then they learn about your organization. Then they learn about your mission. Then they learn about your vision. Then they learn about the results and what you're doing. So they have to understand that this is something you're very passionate about. They have to understand your why. They have to understand that this is your main focus. Your passion is your focus. And so with that being said, it is important that you get their email addresses, you get their phone number so that you can contact them once you're a bona fide 501c3 eligible or 501c3 status organization, recognized as a 501c3 organization, because they may forget. People are busy, people have other lives, people are involved in other things, and they're donating to other things. They have other passion projects that they're part of. So you have to remember to reach out to people and make those connections. You'll also want to start looking at connections with other organizations that might have the clientele that you are looking for, but they work in maybe a separate vein. As an example, Launchpad works with kids. We put kids in extracurricular activities. And so because of that, we might go work with the rescue mission, where we know that they work with the parents, but we might work with the children, right? Or a women's refuge, or something where, we don't work in the same vein, but we are working with the same clientele. And so these are the types of connections that you'll want to start making. And even if you are not going to work with that clientele, it's good for other nonprofit organizations to know exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it. The other option is to start looking at people who are in the for-profit sector who may be a good partnership to work with you on different things. So for instance, we have a lot of partners who are vendors for our program, but they maybe provide a discount to our program participants, which helps us save funds, but also they're part of a good purpose, right? And so you're not always directly asking for funds. You're trying to see what's the mutual benefit for both of us. And that's how you start building your connections for your 501c3 eligible organization. And that's really important to remember, because you can be doing that from day one. From the day you decide that you want to actually start a nonprofit, you can be doing that. But once you turn in that 501c3 package and you're done, and now you're 501c3 eligible and you're just waiting for the IRS to give you that status, then you can be doing these types of things. This is laying the groundwork for your organization. So I want you to really remember that that's what you're trying to do during this period of time. The time that you've turned in your paperwork and the time that you receive your status letter, your status determination letter, then you can be working on these types of things. So building those relationships is really key to hitting the ground running. So focus on that piece. Number 5 is to create your ask. I know I mentioned this earlier, but I had to give this its own little section. Create your ask. The ask is the most important piece of your organization, or one of the most important pieces, but this is your revenue source. This is how you get your funds. I don't know if you've watched in a past video that I've said over 70% of donations that come into a nonprofit come from individuals. So you need to really focus on how are you going to ask individuals. Don't be one of those nonprofits that just sit back and hope that people donate to them. That is probably one of the worst ways I see nonprofits go about doing nonprofit work. You have to bring your organization to people. You have to show them the results. I will have a video on how to start your nonprofit with zero funds. And in that video, I talk to you about how to just start your organization, how to start talking about what your purpose is and what your mission is, and how to show that your mission actually works. When you're 501c3 eligible, the ask is very important that you make sure you ask correctly, right? Because you are 501c3 eligible, which means that you don't have your status determination yet. But many times when you do apply for your status determination letter, it is retroactive for 6 months. So you can write on there 501c3 eligible. Make sure that you keep really, really, really good records of who donated, how much they donated, the date they donated, and when you receive those funds. So this is when you can start opening your bank account. This is when you can start putting funds into that bank account. But you need to keep really good track of, okay, how much money did I receive from this person? When did I receive those funds? And what did I use those funds on? So that when you do get that 501c determination letter, you are able to go back and say, okay, this person did this, this, and this, and this, and here is my 501c3, my tax exempt number, so that they can actually write it off on their taxes. So when you're going to ask for funds, you have to let people know I'm 501c3 eligible, and this is what that means, so that they know that at this point in time, you cannot give a tax exemption number, and you cannot provide any tax exemption for them at this time. But when you receive that determination letter, if you're able to give them that tax exemption, then you would be able to send that back to them at a later date and say it was retroactive so that they can use it on their taxes. Woo! That was a lot to say. I don't even know if that made any sense to you, but basically, during this period of time, you need to keep very good record keeping so that you can actually, if it does happen to fall into that time period, you can still give people that tax exempt status when you receive that tax determination letter. And the last thing I would say to start working on is really creating your brand. And that would include things like your website, cards, logos, all the things that you feel you need to do to hang out a shingle and say, I'm a bona fide business and I'm ready to start, and this is what we're all about. Check out my website and check out my business card and all of those things. Now you're ready to do some of those things in this time where you're waiting for your 501c3 status determination letter. So this is also a great time to start nailing down your processes. You may not know what your processes are right now because you haven't actually started doing your mission, but you can actually start to write it out the way that you foresee it in your mind. Take it to your board of directors. You guys work through it. There were so many things that I had in my actual processes that once I brought to my board of directors, they were like, yeah, no, that's not going to work. Or this doesn't make any sense. Or wouldn't you do this first before you did that? And this is a great time to really lean on your board of directors, really get their input, get their help. That's what they're there for. And that's why I think if you have your board of directors in an advisory role, it's a really good place for them because they really truly are building this thing with you from the ground up. So as a startup, you guys are truly a startup and you have to think of yourself that way. So be ready for some bumps and bruises. Be ready to have to take some pivots and turns, and maybe your vision and mission is not going to be exactly what you were hoping it was going to be, but that's okay. My mission started out way different than how it is today, and that's okay because my main focus of putting kids into extracurricular activities through one-to-one giving was my main focus, right? And so always try to figure out what's my main thrust, what's the main mission. If things around this change, like how you were going to accomplish the mission or how you were going to get to your big vision, that's okay. That's part of a startup. That's part of like growing and building your organization and maintaining it and, changing with the times, changing with the circumstances. So you just want to make sure if you are making changes to your program and the way things are going to work, that's fine. Just be sure to add in your donors and your members or your followers and your board of directors, things like that. Make sure that you email them and bring them along on the journey with you. Let them know that you're changing. Let them know that you're revamping something. Those are all part of the process, a very normal piece of the process. So you are on your way. You are just getting started, and I'm so happy that you're at this point. And I thought it was just befitting because some of you are finishing up the course, and I just wanted you to know that this is another place that you can start, another place for you to be, and to keep moving forward on this. And I'm very proud of you guys. Thank you so much, all of you, for watching. And yes, if you like this video, Please, if it helped you, if you got any piece of information from it, or you have any questions, you can leave a suggestion, a comment, a question, whatever you have down in the comments below. I do get back to each and every one of you. Also, if you are interested in signing up for any of the Unleashed live chats, and if you're interested in any of those times or dates, please go sign up for the Socialife Diaries. You can find that at ashleytate.com, or you can find it down in the description box. Along with, if you're not at this point and you want to start your nonprofit, I have created a course to start your nonprofit in 30 days. I have a link down to the course and also to the video down below in the description box, so you can check that out as well. And if you aren't part of the Socialife tribe, where other people just like you, entrepreneurs with a purpose, are in there, figuring things out, they're sharing their journeys, and we're all in there to support each other. So if you want to be part of that as well, go ahead and sign up for the Socialife tribe on Facebook. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to check out the description box below. I will see you guys next week. Bye.